Hello, my name is Pat Phrayme, and I'm excited to talk to you all today. So, I'm going to talk to you all today about how to build a cross-platform agentic app with Dataiku. First, a brief intro on Dataiku. Dataiku is a universal AI platform for orchestrating analytics, models, and AI agents. So by universal, I mean that anyone can use it, whether you're a data scientist or more of a business person. And you can use our platform to clean up data and build analytics and dashboards. You can also train and deploy machine learning models and build AI agents backed by large language models. And so Dataiku comes with a bunch of central governance tools, and it is multi-cloud, multi-platform, and multi-model, meaning that you can hook up Dataiku to your company's infrastructure, whether it's on AWS, Azure, Google, Snowflake, and you can also connect it to third-party models like the ones through Snowflake Cortex or through Anthropic or OpenAI. And you can connect Dataiku to all these different business systems to have your agents take action in the real world. Okay, so what are we going to do today? I want to redefine a bank's consumer lending process with AI and machine learning. My goal is to help loan officers do their jobs better. So the people who are deciding whether to give a loan to a person, like a mortgage. And my end product, I want to build a multi-agent chatbot that can look up past loan data for my bank, look up the bank's internal loan policies, and check to make sure that loan applications are compliant with these policies. I want to predict if an applicant is likely to pay back a loan. I want to open ServiceNow tickets to kick off the loan offer process. So maybe my company uses ServiceNow. And then I want to send an email to approved applicants saying, here's your custom loan offer. Okay, so if we think about all these different actions that we want our agents to do, the first two are more like information retrieval. The next one is predicting something using machine learning. And the final two are interacting with other business systems. ServiceNow and Gmail is our email provider. This is kind of cool. We think it's helpful if agents can do a variety of things, including all these different types of things. So how are we going to build this multi-agent chatbot? So we have our application portal for individuals to request loans, and maybe we buy some data from a third-party credit agency like an Equifax. So the first step is we're going to bring this data into Snowflake, make some Snowflake tables. Then we're going to train a machine learning model to predict loan defaults or not based on our past loan history at this bank. Then we're going to create a agent tool that does text to SQL, so like data retrieval, data lookup. And this is going to use Cortex Analyst behind the scenes. That's Snowflake's text to SQL service. And then we're also going to take our bank's loan policies. So these are like PDFs stored in an S3 bucket. And we're going to create a RAG tool using a knowledge bank. And this is going to be backed by Cortex Search, which is Snowflake's RAG service for unstructured data retrieval. So this is a Snowflake conference. We're doing a lot of Snowflake stuff here. And all of these components we're going to add as tools to our first agent, which is going to be a loan data and prediction agent. So it's going to be able to find out some information about our past loans and loan policies and make predictions for future applicants. Then I want to create a second agent to close loans. And I want to also connect this agent to our like data lookup tool. And then I want to give this agent the ability to open ServiceNow tickets and also send personalized loan offer emails. So like interacting with these other business systems. And both of these agents are going to be backed by Claude, which is a pretty nice large language model that's good at reasoning. And Claude is going to be hosted on Cortex because, again, this is a Snowflake event. And we're going to throw both of these agents behind chatbot UI and Dataiku that can do all this stuff, including data analysis, make predictions, and take closing actions. Okay, so we have a lot to cover and only under 24 minutes left. Okay, so let's go ahead and build this. Okay, so this is a Dataiku flow. Um, Data comes in on the left, and then we're building out the pipeline to the right. And so I can look at any of these Snowflake tables and see here are our loan applications and all these features about our loans. And then we also have information about our customers that we like purchased from Equifax or a credit rating agency. So like their FICO score and their date of birth. And then I've already built some stuff out for us. So we did some data cleaning to clean up some misspelled values, simplify a text column, create a new FICO median column. I've also written some SQL to calculate how many years someone's been employed. We've joined these two tables together based on a customer ID. We've written some Python code to create a new feature, do some feature engineering. And then we've split our loan applications data into the ones with a final default status, which we know. So that one is, if we scroll to the right here. So for these applicants, we know whether they paid back the loan, which is a 0, or if they defaulted, which is going to be a 1.0. So we're going to use this as our training data set to train that machine learning model. But first, I want to just understand some patterns in this data. So I'm going to let Dataiku suggest some analyses to take a look at. Okay, so let's look at these cards. Okay. So we can see a nice distribution of the amount that people are requesting. So people are kind of requesting like $10,000 or $20,000. What's their debt to income ratio? Um, what are the different interest rates that they're requesting loans at? So that's kind of interesting. Okay, this is helpful in machine learning. So we can look at a correlation matrix. And if I look at the default column, I can see what's correlated with default. So interest rates are highly positively correlated with default, which means that higher interest rates lead to higher number of default. And if you remember from earlier, a 1.0 is a default, a 0 is a payback. So this means that higher interest rates mean higher probability of default, which makes sense. Looks like the amount requested is a good predictor, revolving credit balance. So these make sense to me. We can look at our categorical features a little bit. So it's a nice way to like understand some patterns in our data before we train a model. So speaking of that, let's go to our lab and train a model to predict that default column. And let's design it. Okay, so we can see that this is an unbalanced problem. We've got 84% payback, 16% default, which maybe is good for this bank. I'm not really sure. So we'll make sure to use class weights to like rebalance our records. We're going to optimize our model for ROC AUC. And we can turn on and off some different features in our data set. So I do want to include the amount they request and the loan purpose. I want to include the loan length, debt to income ratio, home ownership. This all looks good. We have a couple of FICO columns, so I'm going to turn off one of them and just leave one because they're going to be super highly correlated. All of these other ones look pretty good to me. State is a bit high cardinality, so I'm maybe going to change that to ordinal encoding, which will it won't like blow up our data set and create a ton of features. And this looks pretty good. Next, I'm going to try out some different algorithms. And let's maybe do a random search to tune some hyperparameters here. Okay. All right, and let's train some models and see what we get here. So now, but behind the scenes, we're taking our known loan applications and we took all of these input features and we're trying to like train some different models, including logistic regression, which is more of a linear model. And then the other ones are tree-based models. So I find this way is pretty good at machine learning. Just like try a bunch of algorithms and see what sticks. So it looks like XGBoost and Random Forest tied for the best model. Let's take a look at XGBoost. So here we can see the important features. So FICO scores, debt to income ratio, home ownership status. These are all important features. And we can also see directionality. So this means that low FICO scores have a higher probability of default, which makes sense intuitively. It's important to look at like different subgroups. Like, I think whenever you're using machine learning to affect people's lives, like give them loans or not, we want to make sure that we're not being biased in our model's actions. So if we look at something like state, here we're looking for major changes between actual default rates and predicted default rates from our model. So, like, what's the most biased thing? Okay, so what's interesting here is that Texas actually has a lower default rate than the broader population, but our model is predicting more defaults for Texans. So you might want to go back in and try a different model and kind of see what's not biased. But we're going to move quickly here today just for this one little conference. So I'm sorry to any Texans in the room. Our model's a little biased against you. But let's go ahead and deploy this model. And then if I were just wanting to make predictions on our unknown loan applications in batch, I could just kind of click on these two things and then score this unknown loan applications data. Cool. And we can actually push this down to Snowflake as a Java UDF to make for super quick scoring. So you can see here we're using the threshold of 0.45 to come up with that final prediction of is this person going to pay back the loan or are they not going to pay back the loan? Because the model outputs a probability and then we use that threshold to come up with the final outcome. Cool. So in this final table, we have each of our loan applicants. We don't know whether they're going to pay back the loan or not, but we do have a probability of payback and a probability of default along with our model's prediction. So that's pretty nice. But we want to build an agentic app, right? So let's build some tools, let's build some agents, and let's build a final app that our bank employees can use. So to do that, I'm going to first build our agent tools that I walked through earlier. So first off, I want to look up some data from Snowflake Cortex Analyst. So this one I'm going to call Snowflake Cortex Analyst lookup loan stats. Okay, and here I'm going to select a Snowflake connection, and I'm going to pass in the path to a Cortex Analyst semantic model YAML file. So this I've already created on the Snowflake side, and this contains a bunch of helpful metadata and business context about some of these tables that I've already created in Dataiku. And then I just need to pass in a little description of this tool to tell an LLM how to use it. Okay, and then we're going to save this. Next up, I want to create an agent tool using Snowflake Cortex Search. So let's call this one Cortex Search Lookup Loan Policies. Okay, and again, I'm gonna choose my Snowflake connection. I'm gonna do that, and I've also created this Cortex Search service already. The column that I want to search is called policy text. And for metadata, I have a file column. And then again, I'm going to give it a description. So I want to use this tool to look up our bank loan policy information to make sure that our loan prediction doesn't violate any internal policies. Okay, cool. And so once I look up like some data and our loan policies, then I want to make a prediction. So I'm going to use the model predict tool. And let's call this one predict loan payback or default. And then I'm just going to select my model from earlier and give it a quick description. So I'm going to say, use this tool to predict whether a customer would be likely to default on a loan or not. You need to ask the prospective customer for the right information to score with this model. Always look up customer details before using this tool. So when incorporating a machine learning model into uh, an agentic process, we got to make sure that we're feeding all of our required input features into this model. And so that's why I'm asking it to always look up the customer details before using this tool, so that we can pass in all of those features. Cool. So now that I have those tools, let's create an agent. So I'm going to create a visual agent, and let's call this one loan predictor agent. Okay, and we can choose any LLM to back this agent process. So I'm going to use Claude for Sonnet on Snowflake Cortex, but you can use whatever LLM you want. And let's give this agent a description. So this is telling our agent all of the things that it can do, which is super important in choosing the right agent for the right job. So I want this agent to act as an expert as to whether or not a loan application is pending or already approved, be able to predict whether someone's going to pay back a loan or not, and use loan policy documents to ensure that no loans offered violate bank policies. And then I just have a bunch of more information about this. So then let's add the tools that we created earlier. So I'm going to add my Cortex Analyst tool, Cortex Search tool, and that model predict tool. Okay, cool. So let's save this. And then I can just quickly test out this agent and see if it's working well. So I'm going to say, should I give customer, and then I have a number here. We don't have names in this fake data set, so we just have numbers. Alone. Okay, let's test this, see if it works well. Okay, and while this is running, let's go and start some of our other stuff for the second agent, the loan closing agent. Okay, so for that one, for the loan closing agent, I wanted to be able to um, create a ServiceNow incident. Okay, so let's call this one create ServiceNow ticket. And I'm just gonna choose an authentication type and just a preset. This is just connecting to my ServiceNow account. And then a quick description for the LLM to tell it how to use this. So I want to create a new ServiceNow ticket to draft up the final loan documents and send them to the customer, populated with the application information. Okay, cool. Now let's create another tool to send an email. So let's say send email. Okay, and for this one, I want to select a messaging channel. So I set this up in the background and I'm going to say Patrick Masi-Phelps at dataiku.com. Make myself the sender and recipient. Why not? And let's do the subject as your personalized loan offer. And then for the template type, you can customize your own template with HTML and CSS and everything, but I'm just gonna just do a simple string of pass the message in here. Okay, cool. So then the agent will be able to generate that custom message and just put it right in that email. Okay, cool. So those are the two tools for the second agent. Okay, and I guess we came back to this first agent and we did get a nice response from this agent. So that looks ready to go. So now let's create that second agent and let's call this a loan closing agent. And again, I'm going to use Claude Force on it on Cortex. And let's see, just pulling up my cheat sheet. For the instructions for this agent, I want this to create a new ServiceNow ticket, asking a bank manager to prepare the loan offering documents and then email the customer with their approved loan information. So same as with the other agent, I'm just going to add my tools here. So first, I do want to use that Cortex Analyst tool to look up loan information about the customer before sending that email. Then I want to create the ServiceNow ticket, and then I want to send the email. Okay. And I just want to give a couple agent-specific descriptions to these. So I want to make sure in the ServiceNow ticket, include the details about the loan application in the ticket description. And then in the email tool, I want to send a personalized email to the customer with their approved loan information. So sometimes it's helpful to add information for the specific agent to understand how to use this tool. Okay, cool. So let's go ahead and build a multi-agent web app. So let's create a visual web app, and I'm going to use Dataiku Agent Hub to do this. Let's call this Loan Officer Agent Hub. And so first off, behind Agent Hub, the broader chatbot, I'm going to add a large language model to decide which agent to route queries to. And I'm also going to add an embedding model, so I can use Snowflake Arctic Embed as the embedding model. And then gonna choose Claude Force Sonnet again here. And then let's add some agents. So I'm going to search for my project. And let's add first the loan predictor agent, and then also the loan closing agent. Okay, cool. So we're going to call this loan predictor agent. And I need to help the broader web app understand what this agent does. So I'm going to say use this agent to predict whether someone back the loan or not. And I can also give some query examples to help users. And then I'm going to call this next one the loan closing agent. I'm going to say use this agent to offer loans to and complete the closing processes. Okay, cool. So I think that's all we need to do. Oh, a couple more things. Okay. And now we have a nice interface where we can let's select our loan predictor agent first. And I'm gonna find an example. Let's find an example customer where we don't know the loan status or not. Okay. So we'll look at like 13767. Okay, so let's say, should I offer customer blah a loan? Okay, cool. So it's streaming back some responses from the large language model, and it's starting to use some different tools that we set up. Okay, so it looked up the data using Cortex Analyst and saw that, hey, this customer has a pending loan application, and here's all the information about their application. Okay, and then this is interesting. So now it's calling our predictive model, and in saying that the customer is likely to default on the loan. Oh no, with a prediction of 1.0. So they recommend do not approve the loan. And then it's also taking a look at our internal loan policy documents to make sure that the loan doesn't violate those policies, but it does like highlight these critical risk factors so that this person is like a huge interest rate, maybe like a lower than ideal FICO score. Okay, so they recommend to decline the application. That's fun. And so we can actually see all the different sources. So all that information that we're pulling from Snowflake. Uh, and if we want to track how the agent came to its decisions, we can even view how this agent used the tools in this trace. So we can see first we queried Cortex Analyst and generated a SQL query to pull the loan applicant information. Um, then we predicted if the person was going to pay back a loan or not. So you can see that we're using that information that we pulled from Cortex Analyst and passing that into the machine learning model to predict if they're going to pay back a loan or not, right? And so it's predicting one, so we're predicting default here. Cool. And then we're also checking Cortex Search to make sure that like this loan is according to all loan policies, right? So pretty cool to see how this agent is taking action. I didn't know that this was going to predict uh, don't don't give them a loan, but let's just try out the other agent, so the loan closing agent. Let's say like okay, like offer this person a loan anyways. And let's see if the loan closing agent can do its job. Okay, cool. So we can see that the agent hub was able to determine, hey, we're using the loan closing agent for this task. Looks like it's using the Snowflake Cortex Analyst tool to pull the information about this applicant. And let's see what else it does. Okay, sending an email. That's fun. Okay, awesome. So it looks like, okay, so we're ignoring the machine learning model. We're saying let's give them a loan. So it created a ticket in ServiceNow. So if I look at ServiceNow, you can see it's 106 and it creates 107. So if we refresh this, we should see a new one. Okay, cool. So Nice. So we have all the information about this loan applicant in ServiceNow. Um, email sent, loan status updated. Uh, Pretty cool. So I think I can even, yeah, I won't show you guys my Gmail, but it it did send an email on this. So awesome. Uh, Thank you all for staying this long. I think I was 1 minute over. Hopefully, you learned a little bit about how you can use data and machine learning and tools connecting to external business systems to build these multi-agent chatbots for enterprise use. Yeah, thanks so much for your time. Have a good one.